gone, still on the ride. Mike and Need be side by side, talking thrills from coast to coast, celebrating what we love the most. Turn it up, feel the vibe, join the thrill of this ride. Hold on tight, it's time to go. Here it is, Coaster Radio.
This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Welcome to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, my close personal friends, Mike Collins and E.B.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I'm here with my friend E.B., and we are ready to talk theme parks and thrill rides.
That's right, Mike. This is going to be a really fun episode of Coaster Radio because in the second half of the show, we are live from the parks.
Yes. Back in the day, man, when you and I started talking about doing this show, that was the reason, I think, for doing the show, right? To actually get into the parks and do things when they open new rides.
Get invited to the media day, get the free passes. Yeah, absolutely.
That was the whole point back in the day. Although there've been so many good things and reasons to do the show since then. But
you are now in prime position, I feel like, because in the DC area where you're from, where I'm from, where Coaster Radio was born, we've got Six Flags America closing down. We've got Busch Gardens and King's Dominion celebrating their anniversaries. This is a big year, I feel like, for Coaster Radio. And we are in the park tonight on Coaster Radio.
Yes. You know what's really cool is that the day, I mean, it's kind of weird doing a show like this because a podcast is obviously recorded. So it's not a live show. So we're recording this first half of the show on one day, but on the day you will hear me in the second half of the show, it's actually, what is it? It's May 16th. That is Busch Gardens 50th anniversary day. That's the day that the park opened back in 1975.
You're pulling back the curtain here, Mike. It's a Time Machine episode of Coaster Radio.
Yeah. I know it's a weird show because we could do it where we fake it like we're there the whole time.
No, listeners love the Time Machine episodes of Coaster Radio. So yes, we will be going back in time, forward in time. Yeah. We record the show earlier in the week, but Mike is going to be going to Busch Gardens later in the week. And this is Big Bad Wolf coming back. Talk about a time machine, Mike. This is the past coming into the future.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this.
Yeah.
We need to wait until you actually get on this thing and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I guess next week is when you can talk to me live.
Yes. It's the second half of the show.
Yes.
Mike, we have to just start the first half of the show with our first drop. I'm so excited for the second half of the show. I don't even want to talk about the first half of the show. But there's so much good news.
I know. It is cool because I like the opportunity to be at Busch Gardens on the 50th anniversary. Like you said, the Big Bad Wolves, the Wolf's Revenge, premiering, and that's kind of a throwback.
I don't
ride.
acknowledge the subtitle.
Yeah, the Wolf's Revenge. Yes, we'll ask about that.
I don't like titles that have a colon.
That's right. And so many rides these days have a colon part, and then a little bit after that. So yeah, so we'll talk to him about that. But I have so many great questions to ask the people at Busch Gardens and just about the future and stuff. It should be great. So we'll get to that in the second half of the show. So there's a lot to look forward to, including audio of me on the ride itself.
Oh, your favorite part.
Honestly, my least favorite part, man. I don't like a camera pointed at me when I'm riding a ride because there's no way not to look stupid. Like there's no way. There's no way. You look dumb. Like, okay, so I did it for King's Dominion. And like immediately on our Facebook page, somebody's like, would you mind just shutting up? Like, and
You're
so it's
dumb.
like, yeah. Like, well, what do you want me to do? There's a camera in my face. You want me to just stand there and like look stoic? Like, yeah, like not making like it's a podcast. You have to speak. You have to make some noise. You have to talk about what's going on. Like, what do you want from me? So I hate doing that.
I'm going over a hill now, and I'm going down a hill now, and now another hill and a turn.
Yeah.
There's a turn now. You're narrating the entire experience.
I know.
But it's an audio podcast. What else?
Yeah. So what else
is do?
Exactly. That's
that's what it is.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't want to do it, but I feel like I have to do it for the show. So I will do it.
You should just yell.
I know.
Just scream.
I kind of did that for the
or do nothing, and just be like, I have no reaction here. This is just mediocre.
It was fine.
I'm disappointed.
It was fine.
I'm glad I snuck my phone on so I can just watch TikTok while I'm on this ride.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm so bored.
Right.
I just want to check my Instagram.
Yeah. But one good comment about the King's Dominion Rapterra video that we posted is somebody said that while watching the video, they saw me return to childhood.
Aww.
Be on the ride for 2 minutes as a child and then return to adulthood. So I thought that was pretty cool because that's what I did feel on that ride. And that's
back to like 13-year-old Mike riding Volcano.
Exactly, right? That's what I think it's all about. So I like that somebody got what we were going for, and that was it. But then another guy said I should just shut up. So I don't know which one to listen to. But let's get into some first drop stuff, man.
Let's actually do our first drop.
Yes, let's do our
have to hit the sound effect again. Yes. First drop.
So last week, we were talking about the closure of Six Flags America. And I loved what you said, EB. It was one of those things that like was surprising, but not surprising at the same time. We kind of, talked about it for a long time. But Six Flags CEO Richard Zimmerman said recently that they don't have any plans to close additional parks at this time.
At this time.
Yes. But he said they will continue to evaluate all options and consider other potential transactions to enhance shareholder value.
Yeah, this is phase one. Yes. Mike, I think the most obvious park has bit the dust with Six Flags America. Yep. I'm surprised because if I was to put a park at the top of the list of parks to close, Busch Gardens in Denver would have been at the top of my list. Yeah. So I think if I could go back and do a Coaster-Damus prediction, before the end of the calendar year, Busch Gardens will be announced.
Ooh, yeah,
as closing next year.
Do you think someone will offer to buy it, or do you think they're just going to close it and just do like Six Flags America?
No, they're closing it. And for the same reasons as Six Flags America, it's valuable property and they're going to build housing. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of King's Dominion, we talked about them a minute ago. They were talking about some land that is owned by King's Dominion, but is outside of the development boundary.
Yep.
That they would be selling that. And that to me is a little bit of a bummer because I always thought that land that they held might be something where they expand into like maybe more of a resort or something like that. King's Dominion, I know, is not like in the Cedar Fair, Six Flags chain. It's not at the top. It's kind of like in the middle, I guess. But I felt...
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of, that's what they said though. I've always felt that it was one of the top parks in the chain.
Yeah.
And I thought that with that extra land, they might build a hotel. They might do something else. It's a little bit of a bummer to me to hear that land is being sold. But then I'm wondering, the whole thing that he says there where they're going to continue to evaluate all options. That means that if somebody comes to them and says, hey, we want to buy this park, they're going to listen and at least entertain the offer. So I wonder what parks out there,
are you suggesting they would sell King's Dominion?
Not King's Dominion. I don't think so. I think King's Dominion is in a good spot for them, near DC, near Richmond.
No, competition for Busch Gardens. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think King's Dominion would go, but I'm wondering if any other parks in the chain might be ripe to be picked off by somebody. I don't know.
We talked about that plenty of times.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting though. So like at least at this point, I mean, we're not going to hear about another Six Flags park being sold off next week. So that's what's going on there.
At the end of the season, maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah. Staying with Six Flags at Carowinds, I like this idea, and it's something that we have not talked about yet, but Carowinds is opening something called the Carolina Harbor Shore Club.
Is this a quick hit?
This is a quick hit. Oh, whoa, shoot. I jumped ahead.
It's time for quick hits.
Quick hits.
I'm so tired. I'm like so exhausted getting ready for this show that I like completely jumped ahead. I'm so sorry.
What is this Carolina Harbor Shore Club? I don't even know what this is.
I jumped a quick hit, but that's all right. We'll go out of order.
No, this is fine. This is fine. What is this?
Yes. So it is basically a part of their water park, but this area is a area of the water park that is designed for people 21 and over. It's called the Carolina Harbor Shore Club. And if you look at the renderings here, I mean, it's
is this a new thing?
It's a brand new thing. So it's basically they've got a swim up bar where you can go up there, and I suppose
what else would you have for 21 and up?
Yeah, right. So look at the rendering there. You see roller coasters off in the distance, but in the pool itself, they have umbrellas that stick out of the pool with areas where you can put your drink. So what a nice little area that you can go and hang out away from all of the teens and rowdy kids and stuff, and go have yourself a nice cocktail and enjoy the water. And I like this idea very much.
This exclusive section of the park is designed for those 21 and over, offering a sophisticated atmosphere away from the hustle and bustle of the main attractions.
Yeah.
Why am I going to the park if I don't want to have the hustle and bustle of the attractions?
I know, but that's a nice little
a
break area.
Sophisticated. Is this White Lotus?
I don't know.
What's happening here?
And I guess Paul Meadows Dockside Bar like comes up right up to it, and that's where you can swim up to. And I want to know who Paul Meadow is. Oh, Paul Meadow. I get it. That's so dumb. I thought it was a guy named Paul Meadow.
Yeah. You were like, is this like a golfer that I'm not familiar with?
Well,
no, it's actually it was like a pun.
The first president of Carowinds. No, it's Paul Meadow. Okay, of course. Well, I just like the idea of the swim up bar, man, that I could sit there in the
that's
water.
That's all you want to see. Yeah,
and I enjoy that. I like that idea. I would like to see that. I would like to see more adult-only areas come to parks. And I know that the teens in our audience are going to be like, come on, man, what are you talking about? But I'd like an area where it's not nuts. And I feel that like more and more the parks are being run over by the teens.
In my experience, any of the adult-only areas in a park, and I've only experienced this, I feel like, in a couple of parks. Valley Fair comes to mind. Kentucky Kingdom comes to mind, where there's a 21 and up bar. Weird drunk adults gravitate towards those areas, Mike.
I agree with you.
I'm sorry. I was just really thinking about this and like going back in my head, like the times that I've experienced this, and I want to go over there because it's a sophisticated place where I can, what do they call it? A sophisticated atmosphere away from the hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
And I'm not escaping the rowdy, stupid, annoying teens, and instead I'm encountering the rowdy, stupid, annoying 40-year-old men.
You've got a point. You've got a point. In fact, I almost put this into the quick hits this week. Did you see the story from Epcot where there was some TikTok girl who was there with her friends and they got drunk at Epcot and in front of the American Adventure Pavilion?
Okay.
They started singing the Star Spangled Banner, and at the end, one of the guys like dove into the fountain. And then the next thing you know, they're all being escorted out of the park. But like she put it on her TikTok and it's got millions of views. And I'm sure that was the point of the whole thing. But like the fact that they were like just drunk off their ass at Epcot, like, you know, and you run into more and more of that at the parks that have alcohol. And so I'm with you. That's the downside of this. Like there's a fun side of this where you can have an adult only place and have some, you know, nice cocktails.
If
but
it
then
was actually sophisticated as they describe,
yes.
I would be okay with it. But it is not sophisticated. It's typically, Mike, do I want to say it? The white trash.
Yeah, okay. Yes. No, I hear you. I hear you.
And there's listeners right now. They're like, but I like that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. No, and I mean, you know, I enjoy a cocktail too, but I never get to the point at the park where I'm like rowdy and, you know, sloshy and falling over myself.
Sloshy and punching a guy in 4 feet of water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or diving into a fountain at Epcot. I've never done that either. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I'm sorry. I completely goofed on the quick hits there. So I'll go to
we got 2 Disney stories here. Let's do these.
Yeah. So we'll go to another one here. Epic Universe opens in just like, you know, a couple weeks here. But the Disney Parks chief had something to say about Epic Universe. Josh D'Amaro, of course, is in charge of Disney Parks. And here was his quote. I found this interesting because he talked about it. Somebody said like, you know, oh, are you worried about Epic Universe? And he said, if something is built new in Central Florida, like Epic Universe, and he was talking about something that draws new visitors to the region, that tourist is going to have to visit the Magic Kingdom. And I've got to say something. That quote right there, and this is not going to endear me to the Walt Disney Company or Disney fans. That's fine. But here's the thing. That quote right there is 100% what is wrong with the Disney resorts and Disney parks these days.
What an arrogant statement.
Yes, it is an absolutely
anyone who
statement.
Goes to Central Florida has to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
This is Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Experiences. This is not a good look for them. No. I feel like I really don't because it feels like a challenge. Like now I just want to go to Central Florida and go to Orlando and not go to Disney to spite Josh D'Amaro.
Well, and maybe he didn't mean it like that, but he
was trying to be nice. I feel like we have seen some social media posts and things like that from when, Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland in California, or when Universal opened way back in the day in Florida. The parks are nice to each other, and they're trying to be like, oh, we're so happy that you're here, and let's work together, and blah, blah, blah. Everything's better. All ships rise, blah, blah. This seems like that, but it is not correct, Josh D'Amaro.
Right. And this is the thing. Like, it seems to me these days, like my past visits to Disney, even Disneyland recently, did not live up to what I remember. 10
we just
years
talked
ago,
about the Disney magic. You had some Disney magic.
Yes,
last time.
absolutely. But that was kind of brought on by a cast member and my daughter. I'm talking about the prices. I am talking about what you get for the amount of money you spend. I'm talking about the overall quality. There were great cast members, but there were also some duds, as I talked about too. That it's not like it was 20 years ago or so. And this guy, Josh D'Amaro, I think is kind of taking things on like it doesn't matter what we do. People will always come back to us. And it may be that way right now, Josh, but the competition is starting to come up with things that are better than what you were coming up with. And they're starting to have better quality in terms of attractions, in terms of experience, in terms of the way you feel at the parks. They can't sit back and rest on what's been done before, man. And like the things that they are putting out there, they're just charging more and more for. Like, hey, you want to come to Epcot and see the fireworks show? Here's $189.
Oh, to sit in the restaurant.
Yeah, to sit in the restaurant and watch it. Like, come on, man. Like, you've got to give some things back to the people. Like, make people spend that much money. You've got to give them a really high quality experience for that.
Something new, something different. This is our next quick hit. The Abu Dhabi Disney Resort. We now know that this is allegedly going to be an indoor park. The first ever indoor Disney park, the 7th park in the Disney chain. And who was it that said, this is wild. CEO, it's going to be
the CEO of Miral Group, Mohammed Abdallah Al-Zahabi.
Yes, who's going to be building this thing, because it is not actually a Disney park. They're just licensing it out. But this company that's building it, they said now it's going to be an indoor park.
Yeah. He goes, as you know, we have done all our theme parks indoor, so Disney will be an indoor theme park.
This is bonkers, right?
Yes.
How is this even? I mean, it's Abu Dhabi in the Middle East and Dubai and whatever, all that stuff. They do crazy, bizarro things. And this is just one of those crazy, bizarro things. We've been looking at the concept art last week on Coaster Radio. We were talking about the concept art and looking at it and speculating about what we were seeing. I don't think we had any idea this thing could be under a dome.
Yeah.
Which is what it's going to be.
Wow. And so I wonder, did this guy just speak without like the okay of Disney? Because like, look at the concept art. That's not under a dome. That's not indoors.
Nope.
So like, did Disney come up with this concept art and say, hey, here's what we're going to build you? And this guy's like, no. It's going to be in a dome. Yeah. Like
it's very hot. It's the desert. I'm thinking cabana, but 500 acres. I have infinity money.
Yes.
Can we do this? Well, with infinity money, yes, we can do this with infinity money.
Who's going to win that fight, EB? That's what I want to know.
It's wild.
Yeah. So
it's going to be so much fun. No, going back to Disney and actual Disney, not the company that's building this park, but actual Disney has no information, no press release, no discussion whatsoever about timeline. Right. It's just been announced. So it's going to be a long time coming, and a long time that we here at Coaster Radio are going to be talking about this thing and waiting and speculating and having so much fun just watching this develop. I feel like it's like Six Flags Kidya that we've been talking about for so friggin' long. And it's finally, they're like testing the roller coaster this week. Is it actually going to happen?
You know what, man?
We'll have to wait and see.
I was just about to say, I almost want to do a Coaster Thomas and say this will not happen.
Right.
Like this, this. I just could see this being just an idea, and it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, well, who knows? That's what I said about Kidya too, Six Flags Kidya too. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Great.
All right, one last one, and I thank the good Lord above for this story. I'm so happy for this story. And you will find out in a moment. But look at this. For the first time ever, Cedar Point is going to feature stand-up comedy shows at their parks.
Why and where and how?
Yes.
Is it going to eat people? I guess so, because
I guess
a long set from a comedian is going to get a lot of people into a theater or an amphitheater of some sort.
Yeah. Supposedly, this is going to be a show called Hoots and Hollers. It's going to feature nationally touring comedians that you've seen on shows like America's Got Talent. It's going to be in the Palace Theater in Frontier Town. And it's supposedly suitable for ages 21 and older, EB. So another event. 9 p.m. performances, ages 21 and up. So it could be some good comedy.
I'm okay with this. I think this is really fun. If you go to a comedy club, it's expensive. You got to like a 2-drink minimum. It's late at night. You don't know what you're going to get. At a park, this is a great opportunity to cool off and have some laughs. This is like going to a magic show or any other sort of indoor theater show.
Yeah.
I like this. I think this is great.
I am thinking if our friend Tony Clark or any of our friends at Cedar Point are listening, we have a comic for you. And wait, this is not the joke yet. The joke is coming, but this is a real thing. What about our friend Joe Uke, who is trying to ride 100 roller coasters? Invite him to Cedar Point. Let him ride all your roller coasters so he gets closer to 100, but then he'll do a comedy show for you in the Palace Theater.
Recent guest of Coaster Radio. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Joe could do like a whole set up there and make it like theme park related and stuff. It could be fun.
Does it have to be theme park related?
No, it doesn't. But But I would go up and see Joe perform. That'd be fun.
Totally, be awesome.
Maybe we need to let Joe know. Like he should contact them and say, like, hey, I'd love to come and do a show because
throw his name in the hat.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a comedian perform at Cedar Point, it might as well be one who likes theme parks, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
But of course, come on, man. If you're gonna have a comedy show at a theme park, CoasterRadio.com knows the theme park comic who should be there.
Hey, Mike, it's me, Lightning Rodney. What's up? How's it going?
Lightning Rodney, long time no see. How are you, sir?
I get no respect, I tell you. Down at Dollywood, the Lightning Rod, it's not the same as it was. You know what I'm saying?
I know. It's had a lot of changes, just like you, Lightning Rodney, and I don't know. Are you ready? Would you be up for going to Cedar Point? Do you have
I could totally do that. No problem. I got a lot of jokes here about the theme parks. My wife, for example, she waited in line for 2 hours just to ride a roller coaster that lasted 30 seconds. She told me it was just like our wedding night.
Lightning Rodney, that was a good one. You should tell that on stage. Do you have more? Do you have more jokes?
Look, I got a ride that spins around so fast it pins you to the wall. It's the most action I've had in years. It was so fast my Fitbit called 911. I went on the Tunnel of Love. Mike, let me tell you, no respect. I went on the Tunnel of Love alone. Halfway through, the boat stopped. The ride lost interest in me.
So sad. Lightning Rodney, I can't believe it.
I told a girl I was brave enough to go through the haunted house. She said, I've seen your internet search history. You're the real horror. Not the ride, Mike. It was me.
Lightning Rodney, I like these jokes. They're all theme park centric. I
went to the amusement park and I rode a ride called the Screamer. I thought it was a roller coaster, but it turned out it was just my ex-wife in the parking lot yelling at me.
She was
screams at me, Mike. No respect. No respect.
You got
I asked a fortune teller, would I ever find love? And it looked at me and said, you got strong wrists. You'll be fine. Love.
Lightning Rodney, that was your best
Rodney
joke tonight.
Style.
That was your best one tonight. I like that one. All right, that made me laugh.
You're talking about Cedar Point, but Mike, Cedar Point. After Cedar Point, I went up to Michigan's Adventure and I bought a fast lane to skip all the lines. All it did was speed up my disappointment.
I've been in Michigan's Adventure too. I see what you mean. All right, Lightning Rodney, thank you so much. We'll see you up at Cedar Point. There he goes. I could see Lightning Rodney like setting the world on fire at Cedar Point. Tony
great.
Clark hired that guy. Lightning Rodney, there he is. I like that.
Good.
So many good jokes. So many good jokes.
Great jokes. Thank you, ChatGPT.
Yes.
All right, Mike, let's move on here. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We are going to be live from the parks. This is going to be so much fun. Mike at Busch Gardens Williamsburg at the Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge. Mike, are we just like going to pretend that we're going to like hit the flux capacitor, have the lightning bolt hit us, and then we're like in the future? After the break? Is that how it works?
I don't know. There's so many ways we can do this, but I think what we're going to do is just hear the break, and when we come back, magically...
I'll be like Doc Brown, hanging off of the cable, putting the connectors together.
Exactly.
And then you're going to be like Marty, taking way too long to get 88 miles an hour.
That's right. How long did Marty take? It took him like 3 miles.
And a half. Yeah, it took him 6 minutes.
Driving down the road.
All right, here we go.
Yes.
All right.
We'll be right back.
This is Coaster Radio. Welcome back to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, Mike Collins and E.B.
Welcome back, everybody, to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike Collins, and through the magic of podcasting, I'm no longer in the Coaster Radio DC studios. I am now at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and it is a fantastic day here. So much is going on. First of all, I think the most important thing is today, and we're recording this on May 16th, it's actually the 50th anniversary of Busch Gardens Williamsburg. The park opened back on May 16th, 1975, so celebrating 50 years today, and there's so much going on. And I should also say the park is so incredibly crowded because it's the 50th anniversary. It's also a Friday. That means there are a ton of school groups here. I'm just seeing like all these groups. I think they're having like one of those music festivals here. So you've got like groups of like 200 kids all wearing the same t-shirt, all of their chaperones with them. And there's like 10 of those groups here. So I guess later on they're going to be doing their like music performances and then getting trophies and stuff. So you've got all those people here. Then there's also an ACE Spring Conference going on that's at Busch Gardens today and tomorrow. And then I guess on Saturday and Sunday at King's Dominion up the road. So you've got all of those people here. But then it's just a beautiful Friday in springtime. So you've got just people who come to Busch Gardens regularly. But tonight, they are actually doing a member preview for the Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge. So you've got all those people in the park. So really one of the more crowded days I've ever seen at Busch Gardens. But, you know, one thing, they're doing a lot of really fun things today for the 50th birthday of Busch Gardens. One of the things is they're offering 75-cent beers at the Fest House, not too far from where I am right now. I should say, by the way, I am standing very close to the legendary Loch Ness Monster. I'm up at in Scotland, and I'm probably about, I don't know, like 20, 30 feet away from the entrance of the Loch Ness Monster. But I am standing at one of the booths for the Busch Gardens Food and Wine Festival. And that's another thing that is happening today. So, that, by the way, the Food and Wine Festival, you've heard how the way they do it at Epcot, right? Very similar to what they do here at Busch Gardens. And I've got to say, the quality that you get at the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot is the same quality you're getting here at the Busch Gardens version of a Food and Wine Festival. There are so many fantastic booths. I'm standing right now outside of the Highland Spirits booth, and they've got a lot of different things. Like the food that they have here is a Jim Beam bourbon whiskey blondie. So it's like a kind of a brownie made with Jim Beam bourbon whiskey. But I am actually, since I'm sort of nearing the end of my day here, after doing all the media events this morning for the Big Bad Wolf, I am enjoying a drink called an Irish Buck, and that is Jameson Irish whiskey, honey, and basil. And it's actually it's a pre-mixed drink, but it actually is on draft. So it's really, really good. I would recommend that if you are coming to Busch Gardens, come and try that. But here at the Highland Spirits booth, they also have a flight of scotch and bourbon that you can try. So what is it? I'm just looking at what they have here. Four Roses bourbon, Dalwhinnie single malt scotch, and then Peachwood American single malt from the Copper Fox Distillery. So a lot of great things here at the Food and Wine Festival for people to try. Some of the things that I really enjoyed in the Africa booth, they have something called Peri Peri Chicken, which is a grilled chicken skewer with some coconut rice. We went over to the Hawaii section, and man, if you're there, that probably the best thing that I tasted all day today is this Kahlua pork slider. It's got pulled pork, pineapple, and then pineapple coleslaw, and it's all on a sweet roll. Such good stuff here. So I've got to say, I've been coming to the Food and Wine Festival here at Busch Gardens for years. This is probably the best food and the best drink that they've had in all of those years. They've really stepped it up. So a great reason to come here to Busch Gardens for the 50th anniversary. So now let's talk about the reason that I am here There are 10 roller coasters here at Busch Gardens, but the 11th is getting ready to open, and they did a media preview today for that. That, of course, is the Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge. And I'm so excited to talk to you about this. I'll tell you a little bit about my day and getting down here. So the media event, they kind of staggered people coming in. I think early in the morning, they had all of the TV and radio stations come and do their live shots and recordings on the ride. But then I guess people like us, podcasts and other social media influencers and TikTokers and YouTubers and all that, I think they had them scheduled to come at 1 o'clock. So my plan was to leave DC right around 10:30 a.m. and then hopefully get right into the park at 1 o'clock. Of course, when you are a dad with kids, that doesn't always happen. So there were some things happening here with babysitters and trying to get everything to work. So I actually had to call the park and say, hey, I'm not going to get there till like 2 or 2:30. So we left a little later, probably, I don't know, like an hour later, and ended up getting to the park an hour and a half after that supposed 1 o'clock start time. Thankfully, we got there right as they were like closing up shop. So we still got our media lanyards and were able to get into the park and do the media preview. The nice thing about the media preview, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, as part of that lanyard, they had unlimited rides and unlimited front of the line access to all of the roller coasters and major attractions here. So that is going to be important to something I talk about in a little bit, because I finally had a chance to get on Dart Coaster, which is a ride that's been around now for like 2 or 3 years, but I have not had a chance to go on it because the lines for that ride have always been really, really long. So I will tell you about that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the Big Bad Wolf. You might remember, if you are a fan of Busch Gardens, especially here in this 50th year, you know that the original Big Bad Wolf was an aero suspended coaster that was built in the early 80s. And it was one, I mean, you could say it, right? It was one of the most famous roller coasters anywhere. I mean, people talked about that. I mean, there were other ones built, you know, Iron Wolf or Iron Dragon at Cedar Point and others. But this was such a great one because it had a storyline of a wolf attacking a German village. And you were the wolf. You were actually in those aero suspended trains, and you would be the wolf swinging through villages. And it was a really surprisingly intense ride. It had 2 lift hills. You would go up the first lift hill and then drop down into the village and have all these near misses with the buildings. And then you would go up another larger lift hill and then drop down towards the Rhine River. And what's really neat is that drop still exists in a way with Verbolten, which actually takes the same ride path at that point, dropping down towards the river and doing the same twists and turns as you return to the station. So the Big Bad Wolf was a classic ride. I think a lot of people missed it. It's still something people talk about today, which is, I think, why Busch Gardens decided that with this new roller coaster, its 11th roller coaster in the park, that they would theme it to the Wolf's Revenge. If the wolf had been banished when they got rid of the other ride, this new ride that they are creating would be the wolf taking its revenge on the villagers of this town. So this is a B&M family roller coaster, very similar to Phoenix Rising, the ride that is at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. And I will tell you right away, I think they got it right with this version. There were a lot of complaints and things people brought up about the Busch Gardens Tampa Bay version of this ride that people didn't like. They said there was a lot of shake. They said it was a little boring in terms of theme. I think all of those things are completely opposite here at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, because a couple things. This ride is incredibly smooth. I was shocked by how smooth the ride was. The ride is not intense. I mean, it is, after all, technically labeled a family roller coaster, but it still had thrills. It still had airtime. It still had kind of intense swoops, just like the original Big Bad Wolf, towards the different buildings that they had there. And in just a minute, we're going to talk with Connor Carr. He's the corporate director of rides and engineering at United Parks and Resorts. And I want him to kind of talk about the story and what they were going through. And then when we come back from that, I will tell you kind of what I saw as I was riding on the ride. But what I am most impressed about here is that they have done an incredible job theming every inch of this ride. The ride actually has a pretty large profile and goes over a large part of land. The interesting thing is, if you are a historian and know Busch Gardens Williamsburg, the Big Bad Wolf, the new version, sits on the same plot of land as Dragonfire, that infamous aero looping roller coaster from the 90s. Which, you can go back and do your own research on that. But that was one of those rides that was around, and it's one of those rides that people wished they had ridden. If, it's one of those you hear about and you hear that it was rough and they had to remove a corkscrew to make it less rough. And I got to ride it as a high schooler, 4 or 5 times. And I remember banging my head on those aero restraints, the over-the-shoulder restraints that were there. Yeah, man. So I don't miss that ride, but it's very interesting to finally have a new roller coaster on the site. They reused the station for Drachenfire, and I really feel like, I got to tell you, I was a little disappointed when they put in Pantheon because there was not much theming at all. I mean, it's basically a roller coaster in a field. This more than makes up for that because every inch of this ride is themed. Whether it's with landscaping below or whether it's where the track actually goes through a village. I mean, there's one part of this ride where the ride dips down to the ground and you actually go through the gates of the village. I mean, so it really does make sense that this wolf is returning and coming back into the village. But hang on, let me let you guys hear from Connor Carr. Like I said, the corporate director of rides and engineering. He's going to tell you all about what they set out to do with this ride. This was an interview we recorded just about an hour ago. So tell me what it's like today. I mean, there's so much excitement today. Not only here we are on the 50th anniversary of Busch Gardens Williamsburg to the day. I mean, that's pretty exciting to me.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited for everything going on today. We decided instead of spread it, why not have it all at once and really create this grand celebration from, the opening of the Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge, to the park's 50th anniversary. Today is truly an incredible, iconic day at this park.
Dude, that's awesome. It's so great. And you had a big job ahead of you because when you talk about 50 years of Busch Gardens, one of the most iconic rides here ever was the original Big Bad Wolf. And now here we are continuing that story. That must have been, what was it like the day you heard, okay, this is one of my jobs that's coming up?
It definitely is a job that always stays interesting, and it was a long process with a lot of people involved, but, it involved looking at bringing a new family experience to the park, right? And what better way to do it than a 42-inch rider height? But also when knowing that this attraction was going to line up, right, with the 50th anniversary year of the park, and now we hit it even more on the mark, right, with the 50th anniversary day of the park. This was really the only option. I mean, what better ride than to bring back the nostalgia that everybody grew up with in a new way, but still in a way where the original ride lives in the new ride. And this was really the best choice for it.
Yeah. One of the things I love about Busch Gardens with all of the attractions is there is a story behind it. So can you take, for somebody who didn't know, tell us the story of this attraction here and what people are going to experience when they come and check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you enter the station, right, you see this big warehouse of, beer barrels and all that. And you, when you first leave on the ride, you hear this bell, right? And that, is the warning bell for all the villagers. It's the wolf's warning bell that he's been spotted. He's on the prowl. He's on the hunt. Today, the exciting thing to us about that bell and to our fans at Busch Gardens Williamsburg is that bell not only means the wolf is on the hunt, but it means the wolf is back. The wolf has returned. The wolf is here and here to stay for a really long time. But then as you shoot out through the village, you see that the wolf has run through the village and slashed the buildings, and you'll see a couple traps put out for the wolf as you go around and different, and also some nods to the old ride. And then, at the very end, you'll hear the music and there's a big celebration at the end, right? And all the villagers are celebrating that, that it's safe again and when you come back into the station. Absolutely.
Yeah. one of the things that I liked, it seemed almost like there was a little more than the original ride in terms of things that you see. And so I like, for one of my favorite parts was actually flying over the area with the picnic tables and the full beer steins and stuff. I mean, there's some cool stuff to see down there.
Absolutely, yeah. We wanted to. It's always important to nod, right, to the original ride, but you wanna do the nod plus some, right? Nostalgia plus. And so we definitely made sure that those key elements that everybody knew and loved about the original one were there. But then also, this is the Wolf's Revenge, right? So it has to be bigger and better and and more fun and exciting. So from the onboard audio to the wolf head at the front of the train, to the beer steins and the celebration at the end, right? We really want to just take it up to the next level, and we're really excited with how it turned out.
That's great. And it's so great to see a roller coaster on this spot again, because you guys are using a station that actually has been used once before in the history of Busch Gardens.
Yeah, so it's pretty sacred ground here, right? Yeah, so this building has been used for several other things, but the original use for this building was the old Drachenfire coaster. And while it's been repurposed and it's the colors, that nod to the old Big Bad Wolf ride, or the original Big Bad Wolf ride, there's a couple nods to the Drachenfire ride as well, with the main one being, as you go out, you'll notice that there's an animal stable just outside the village, and the villagers have decided to name that Drachen Stable. So we do have a couple nods to the ride out there for people to see, to make sure that the nostalgia is really alive with celebrating those 50 iconic years here at the park.
Yeah, and I like that this ride, like I've got a 6-year-old daughter who meets the height requirement, but it's still, for even like seasoned roller coaster riders, it's still a good thrilling ride. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Partnering with a great team over at B&M to build this incredible ride, we wanted to make sure that not only is it a great family ride for those that it might be a my first coaster, right? So, bring your kids out, and even your grandparents. It's it really meets that mark, but it's still a fun ride for those that love coasters, love the high intensity. There's still great elements on here. It's a really smooth layout that has some fun elements on too. So even for your, like you said, for your coaster enthusiast, it's still a solid attraction.
Well, congratulations. This is a fantastic ride. It's so great to see it finally up and running, and have a great day. Have a great 50th anniversary here too.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
So it was great to talk with Connor. You could tell as we were discussing the ride, he was just really genuinely excited about it. And imagine working on something. You guys probably do this just like I do. Like, you work on a project for weeks or months, and then finally it's done, and finally you can show it off to people. I could tell he was really, really excited about that. And they've made a fantastic ride, and the ride itself is really, really good. First off, the trains are amazing. They've got a wolf eyes on the zero car of the train, and the wolf eyes actually light up. So at night, as the wolf is coming out and going through the course, you're actually going to see the glowing eyes. The restraints themselves are very comfortable, and I think very forgiving for a large group of people, which is great. But I felt like the cool part is that it comes down over the shoulder, but it's only a lap bar. So you feel nice and snug, but you still have your range of motion. There's not anything, there's not a vest on your chest. There's also nothing by your ears banging around. But I really liked that there was airtime on this ride. I enjoyed that there were lots of swoops, but also the theming all around this ride was so great. There was one section at the end, I believe, after the wolf has been caught. Like, your train actually goes through a wolf trap that the villagers have set, and at the end, you fly over an Oktoberfest celebration, I guess, where they're celebrating that the wolf has been defeated. And there are tables below with a lot of decoration and full steins of beer on the tables. So like we were talking about with Connor, that's something that the old ride didn't have. Yes, the old ride was more thrilling in terms of a major thrill ride, along the lines of, Alpengeist and, some of the other big ones, Loch Ness Monster even, and even Pantheon. This is something that, I guess if you were to look at the lineup of roller coasters here, you've got Alpengeist, you've got Griffin, you've got Pantheon, even Tempesto maybe as really intense rides. Then you've got your kind of next tier, maybe Invader, Verbolten, rides that are there that, are more, I think that, younger kids could get on, or entire families could ride. That's where I would put the Big Bad Wolf's The Wolf's Revenge. And maybe I would put that as the best in that second tier of roller coasters here. Like, yes, it's not the most intense, but if you were to take, somebody who is brand new to roller coasters, it's a perfect first roller coaster for them. That's more than like getting on the Grover coaster or a kiddie coaster. But I think that fans of roller coasters in general are going to like this ride because it's very smooth. There's not that rattle that we've become accustomed to in newer B&Ms that have been built recently. That rattle is gone. You're going to just smile at the theming. And also, I haven't even talked about this yet, the onboard audio. There's actually onboard audio that kind of like helps tell the story. And you hear wolf howling off in the distance and stuff. There's so much to like about this area. And the fact that they're reusing the station for Drakenfire, there's some history there. So I'm really excited about what they did here. I was smiling when I was on this ride. I got to tell you, one of the best places to ride this ride is actually in the back seat. You get an intense, if you're somebody who's like, hey, I want an intense roller coaster experience, ride it in the back. You get yanked over those hills. You get whipped around a little faster as you're going through some of those scenes in the German village. But if you were riding with somebody who's a first-time rider, head towards the front or middle of the train, and you get a much less intense ride. So I think they've got a winner on their hands here. No joke. I'm pretty excited for this ride, and it's become, I think, you got 11 roller coasters here now, which is fantastic. Like, they kind of quietly built up that roller coaster collection, right? It's going to be in my top 5, I think. I think so. As soon as you get past my favorite, Apollo's Chariot, you got Alpengeist, Griffin, Pantheon. I might put it above Verbolten, believe it or not. I might. I got to think about that a little more, but I would put it up there. So a really fun ride, and I'm excited for people to experience it. I'm glad I got a chance to experience it because from what I'm hearing, the lines tonight are going to be, I mean, they're like letting people in with memberships. I'm hearing it's going to be maybe a 3-hour wait, maybe a 5-hour wait when they open the ride tomorrow for more people. And then once they open, I mean, I'm hearing there's going to be these gigantic lines coming up. And by the way, one thing they announced that's pretty cool. So you know how Disney does these nighttime events, separate ticketed events to come in, and it's limited attendance, so you can get on rides a lot faster because there aren't as many people in the park. On Friday, June 13th, that is a night that is a full moon. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is hosting an event called Coasters After Dark Moonlight Madness Edition. And they are going to open the Oktoberfest area of the park from 9 p.m. to midnight. But your entry actually gets you into the park at 7. So you're basically there from 7 till midnight, but exclusive use of the coasters that they're, the ones they're going to be offering are the Big Bad Wolf, Verbolten, Dark Coaster, and Alpengeist. But they're also going to open their Wave Swinger ride and their bumper cars. So the other thing you're going to get there as part of this is you're going to get a popcorn voucher, also a drink voucher, and a collectible cup. So they don't have details yet on how much that is going to be, but that's a first-time event for something like this for Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So you know how we always talk about things that happen at Disney trickle down to the parks? I'm glad to see Busch Gardens Williamsburg doing this. This is great. So let me also tell you, I finally got a chance to get on Dark Coaster. Dark Coaster is a ride that I, for some reason or another, I mean, it opened in 2023, so for the past 2 years, I've not had a chance to get on it. I missed the media day originally, so the best chance to get on it was then, but every time I went, the line would be at least 45 minutes. Today, the line was approaching 2 hours from what I was hearing, but this lanyard that they gave us is fantastic because it gets you essentially front of the line quick queue access, unlimited for the entire day. So I said, this is it. This is my chance. I went over to Dark Coaster. As you guys know, it's one of those Intamin motorbike roller coasters, and it's in the former building of Curse of Dark Castle, which was their innovative dark ride that could best be compared to Spider-Man at Islands of Adventure. And when that ride opened, which, by the way, was the second episode ever of Coaster Radio. We went and covered that opening. It was amazing for a regional park. I mean, that was something that we usually only saw at Disney and Universal parks. But, man, they did a fantastic job with that. And I was so disappointed to see it go. So getting on Dark Coaster, I was excited to ride a new roller coaster. But at the same time, I kind of felt like a twinge of regret, like missing that old ride. But I went in, kind of feeling excited to ride this ride. It was nice being able to use the quick queue access because it drops you off right at the entrance of the ride. So, you're right there at the gates. And it was, like I said, there were a ton of school groups there. So I got in line. Nobody in my group wanted to ride. So I went in by myself. And so here's a funny story. Tell me what you would do in this situation. But I was in line, just kind of, looking down at my phone, waiting to ride. There were like 4, groups of people ahead of me. And I got a tap on the shoulder, and it was this, I guess like, maybe 7th grader or 8th grader. And she goes, "Hey, do you mind if my friends behind you go ahead of you so we can all ride together?" And so I was like, I'm like, of course. Like, what am I going to do? Be like, no, I want to ride the coaster before you. So I was like, yeah, fine. But I remember back in the day, like the way that you're supposed to do it, right, is you let somebody go in front of you so that then you're lined up. You don't ask somebody else to like delay their ride. You actually delay your ride by letting somebody go in front of you. But I don't know. I didn't care about it. The weird thing was, though, and I wish EB was here because I'd like to ask his opinion, but the people that jumped in front of me, one of them was a chaperone of this group. And she just stepped in front and, like, didn't say thank you or, like, oh, thanks for letting us do this. She just kind of stepped in front and, like, brushed past me really quickly. And I thought that was weird because it was like, well, here's somebody who's being nice and kind of letting you through. At least, like, say, hey, thank you. Like, I wasn't looking for anything else, but man, I don't know. So that was kind of weird, and I wish EB was here with me right now to get his opinion on that. But let's talk Verbolten for a second. As you know, like the most interesting thing about this ride to me is the way that Intamin designed it so that you leave the station, you go through the course, but then you don't come back through the station right away. You actually go through a switch track and then go through the entire course again, because they can't put that much track in a building that was originally just a dark ride. I mean, you got to think of, like, first, you can't go that high, but then there just isn't much room to put, like, 4,000 feet of track in there or something. So, like, how many feet of track is Dark Coaster? I'm just looking this up real quick as we're talking about it. It's actually it's close to, like, 1,400 feet of track. And the ride can't go that high, so it only gets to like 36 miles an hour. So there are 2 launches in the ride. And I got to say, like, the motorbike seats are okay. I saw, like, some people having trouble, like, fitting on it. But, they're comfortable. They're fine. You don't really need to, like, lean forward and grab the handlebars. You can just kind of sit there. So anyway, the ride takes off, and the first launch is fantastic, and they're blowing wind in there and sound effects to make it feel like you're going through a winter storm. But I gotta say, it left me with a little disappointment. I mean, the ride was fine, but it kind of reminded me of the dark scenes in Verbolten, which is right across the way. And there are parts of Verbolten where, I don't know, just like the G-forces are a little too much and you're in the dark, and so you can't, like, tell your body which way to go. And so it gives you, like, a little bit of that motion sickness feeling and a little bit of that headache feeling. Plus, I mean, most of the ride is in the dark. I mean, it is called Dark Coaster, and they try to give you some elements, that light up as you go by. Like little lightning strikes or little spirits or something like that. Like, I appreciate what they were trying to do, but I don't know. Like, after a ride on this and going through the course twice, and it left me lacking. Like, it didn't make me feel like this is one of the best roller coasters here. It kind of made me feel like it was towards mid-tier and maybe the bottom of that mid-tier. And I get why the ride is here. I understand it totally because it's an indoor ride, and Busch Gardens desperately needs indoor rides that they can have running during the winter months. I mean, this is a park that operates year-round, so they need more rides that people can do indoors, more rides that can be running while it's raining. So I get that, but I don't know. I, as somebody who really appreciated the original ride, it made me kind of wish that ride still existed. And I get it. I'm sure that ride was a maintenance nightmare because not only are you maintaining all of these really intricate ride vehicles that have ride vehicles on a motion base that have to, move through the attraction, thousands and thousands of time a year, but you're also maintaining giant screens and special effects. So I'm sure the maintenance budget for that just had to be astronomical, and having this type of Intamin straddle coaster, probably less to maintain. But I don't know. There was just, it left me lacking, and it actually came off it feeling a little sick too. So I'm not sure. I'm glad I got a chance to ride it, and I appreciate the effort that went into this ride, but not my favorite. Not my favorite at Busch Gardens, and I miss the old one. Next week, remind me, I'm going to tell you a story once EB's back, because I want to tell him, but I kind of put my foot in my mouth when I was describing the ride to somebody, because I did not realize who it was that I was talking to. I will tell you that story next week. It's actually kind of funny. It makes you realize, and I'll just give you a hint. There was somebody I was riding alone, so somebody jumped in the seat next to me. I had no idea who that person was when I told them my true feelings about the ride. So I'll tell you about that next week. It was very funny, and I don't know. Just I had a good laugh about it with my wife and other people when I got off the ride. So anyway, but let me say, it's still a fun ride. Everybody should experience it once. And just because I had that experience doesn't mean that you will too. Everybody's got to try these things out and see what they feel about it. It's just like the Big Bad Wolf. I mean, I heard people here saying "Oh, it's a family coaster. I wish they put something in more intense." But man, I got off the thing and I loved it. And other people that I was hanging out with here did as well. I also like that there are theme park celebrities here today. So I saw Taylor and Sarah from Coaster Studios. So they actually interviewed me for their latest video. So that should be kind of fun to see what type of reaction that gets. So that was fun. Also, there's a guy who is famous here at Busch Gardens. His name is Verbolten Troll. And I've never met him before, but he's a guy who he was telling me whenever he goes to the park every day, he at least gets 30 or 40 people who take pictures with him. He's just somebody who's on social media, has a YouTube channel, and people know him. I think you might know him because he wears a construction helmet that says Verbolten Troll on it. And people just know him, and he's a super friendly guy. And he was actually standing in line with me at the Big Bad Wolf as we were waiting to do our recordings on the ride. So just like at Rapterra a couple of weeks ago at King's Dominion, they also had a whole setup to where you get in the front row of Big Bad Wolf and you have a camera pointed at you. You have a camera pointed the other way looking out as you ride, and then they link up the footage later. So there was a long line to do this. In fact, that interview you heard with Connor, I actually had, my wife was kind enough to kind of wait in line for me while I was doing that. And I got a chance to ride Big Bad Wolf in a couple different seats as kind of as she was being cool and holding a place in that line, because there were so many people in front of us that I kind of did the math and was looking at the dispatch times, and it was at least going to take an hour. So anyway, Verbolten Troll was behind me. There were a couple other nice people that we met there, including some Coaster Radio listeners. And unfortunately, man, there was one other gentleman in front of me, and then me, and we were getting ready to do the on-ride video, and then the ride broke down. It actually left some people out on, I think, the brake run as they were coming in, or one of the, places where it could actually stop. Something happened, and the ride, stopped out on the course. Finally, they were able to restart the ride and bring the train in. And this is after, it was important to me because I really wanted to show you guys the point of view video and have some audio to play here on the podcast. So I hung out in the station for an hour. maybe an hour and 15 minutes, but they could not get the ride back up. And they were really worried about tonight's preview because they have like thousands of people who have come in, like members who are ready to ride the ride tonight. So they're very apologetic, and they just said, hey, you guys mind clearing the station because we're going to try to do some things to get the ride operating for tonight. And from what I heard, they did get it operating later on. But unfortunately, we missed our opportunity to get the point of view video by 2 trains. Only 2 trains. Like, if for whatever reason we had gotten there 2 people earlier, we would have had it. But, that's how it goes, especially with new rides and stuff. So, unfortunately, I've got no on-ride audio from Big Bad Wolf to share with you this week. Although, I got to tell you, EB and I were talking about it earlier in this episode. I'm kind of thankful that I didn't have to do it because for some reason, like a camera pointed at you when you're riding a roller coaster is just awkward. It's awkward because you just want to enjoy the ride and not have thousands of people like staring at you as you're doing it. And what are you supposed to say while you're on it? Like narrate the ride? Are you supposed to like just laugh and scream? I don't know. Rob Alvey does that type of thing, but he gets a lot of guff. I was going to use another word, but he gets a lot of for sometimes some of the things that he says on those things, and I get it. Sometimes people just want to watch a point of view video of the ride and not hear somebody chatting. But here for a podcast, you got to speak, you got to talk, just like I'm doing now. So anyway, I'm as disappointed as I am, and even though I wasted close to 90 minutes waiting for that. And could have been out in the park or out at the Food and Wine Festival, I'm actually kind of relieved. So I will tell you next week about some of the other things that we're going to experience because a little later, probably about an hour from now, there is a VIP reception, which is pretty cool. So I'm curious who will be at that and what that will be like. So I'll tell you about that. So this will be one of those episodes where next week I give you a little bit more about the day and can tell you more behind-the-scenes stories of what happened here. So thank you guys so much for being here with us. This is really one of the fun things about doing the Coaster Radio podcast. It's one of the things I love is when we get a chance to be on location in the parks. And EB and I are going to try to do more of that for this 20th anniversary. Also, we're kicking around the idea because, Busch Gardens celebrating their 50th anniversary today. King's Dominion celebrated their 50th anniversary a couple of weeks ago. Since we're celebrating our 20th anniversary as a podcast, we thought it makes perfect sense, maybe in late September or early October when both parks are doing their Halloween events, to hold meetups. Well, one day at King's Dominion, one day at Busch Gardens. So it's kind of makes sense, right? Like everybody's celebrating anniversaries. Let's do it all at once and have a mega 2-park meetup. We have done a meetup here at Busch Gardens Williamsburg before, but we've never done it at King's Dominion. So I think that would be a lot of fun. And both parks opening brand new rides this year. So it makes sense. That is what we are aiming for. If that's something that you are interested in, let us know. Hit us up on our Discord if you're a member at Patreon. But if that's something that kind of works for you and you think that's a good idea, send us an email at feedback@coasterradio.com. And we will work to make that happen. So that's it for me here at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Still a couple hours of daylight left, so we're going to do the more of the Food and Wine Festival. Go check out that reception that they're going to have. Get on a couple of rides. I want to do Apollo's Chariot, man. I got to get over that. I mean, because if you're wearing a lanyard where they say here's free front of the line access, you got to do it. And there are too many of these kids with matching T-shirts here. I got to use my lanyard to get ahead of them all and ride some Apollo and some of the other rides too. So I am going to send it back to you, EB, and you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, Mike. There he was. That was the Time Machine, Mike, in the future. This is EB here back in the past. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Coaster Radio. Thank you so much for supporting the show week after week. Go to coasterradio.com to find out all the ways to support the show. We've got referral links. We've got the T-shirt shop. But the most important way that you can support the show is by going to patreon.com/coasterradio. Let's say thanks to everybody who supports the show at the $20 level. There's perks, there's bonus content at every pledge level. $1, $5, $10, $20. We say your name on the show. Alex Payne, Ashton Rowe, Brian Wackler, Chris Rankin, Cincinnati Nick the Sweatshirt Guy, our friends at Club Z, 2 Bearded Coaster Chris's, CM Venom, Colton Toms, Dino, Grace, John Brody, John Brown, Josh Cones, Justin Padilla, Karen and Lee Howren, Kevin Wilson, Kyle Kiefer, our friends at Made to Thrill, Matt Walker, Michael Foucault, Paolo de los Reyes, Rich Barber, Rick Burnley, Tom from Louisville, and Zachary Carpenter, plus an extra special thanks to Lindner Design Companies, specializing in branding, illustration, and small batch custom apparel. You can find them on Instagram at Lindner Design. Made that new CoasterRadio.com 20th anniversary logo. And you can get all sorts of cool apparel and CoasterRadio.com merch at CoasterRadio.com. Scroll down, find that t-shirt shop. For Mike, I'm EB, and we will talk to you again next week.
You've been listening to Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. To learn more about the show and hear hundreds of episodes from the archives, visit our website at CoasterRadio.com. This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Thanks for listening. Peace out, suckers. Coaster Radio is a production of Lift Hill Media, LLC. Audio and video from this program may not be broadcast, edited, or reproduced without our express written permission. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This was all done in one breath.